Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, I'm using Christmas music as bumper music, and it just doesn't sound exciting. It sounds pretty, but not exciting. All right. Robin and I have been interviewing authors forever, and when we first started doing it, we immediately got the attention of local authors, and so we've had there's that music. Yeah, it's not good bumper music at all. I'm trying to use Christmas music. So we immediately had some local authors who wanted to be on, and it was not always easy to figure out, because here's why. Because it's kind of like having people on America's Got Talent, right? You want to make sure you have somebody on who can be entertaining. And speaking of which, Diane Bannard has been on America's Got Talent. She's with us right now, and she also happens to be an author. Of course, that's how we knew you at first, because you came in with some of the books that you had written for children and for some of the puzzle books that you were responsible for. And so you are here today with Beverly Biehr. Good morning, Beverly. Nice to meet you.
Good morning.
And both of you have contributed to a book called Hey, Got a Minute? Is that the whole title? Hey, Got a Minute? Okay, and it's a collaboration, right? A collaborative effort between how many writers are in the book? Good morning to both of you, first of all.
I think at least 26. I don't remember.
All right, and well, good morning, Diane.
Good morning.
Good morning, Beverly.
Good morning.
Hey, how do you guys know each other?
The book writers.
Oh, through the book.
Yeah.
Oh,
Freedom Writers Group.
And where does the Freedom Writing Group from? Where are you guys from?
Freedom Public Library.
From the library.
Yeah.
So somebody at the library had this idea to put a book together with all the different writers. Wow, well, that's interesting. So I want to make sure we get to know you both and which stories you have in the book. Diane, I have to ask you first, are you still doing the hula hoop thing?
I have. I'm still planning to do more stuff.
How many times were you on America's Got Talent? How many times were you on there?
Twice in addition, but because they do repeats, I was on 4 times.
Nice.
Oh, okay, so you went on 2 times. That's called an audition when you're actually on the TV?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I'm actually a contestant when I'm on the TV.
There you
so
go.
I do more than audition.
So you auditioned and you passed the audition, then you were a contestant.
Yes.
Nice. And did you get to meet any of the people we know, like Simon Cowell and all those guys?
I get to talk to them on stage.
Were they nice?
That was cool.
Were they nice to you?
Well, Howie Mandel was great and nice to me, and he was disappointed. Nick Cannon was exceptionally nice to me. Not Simon.
Simon wasn't nice? Wait, what did he do?
He said I would look like I was fighting with a hula hoop. Yeah, it was funny, but it wasn't nice.
Well, it was so fun to watch. We were so proud of you, by the way, that you did that. So congratulations. That's awesome. You were a go-getter, aren't you? Did you grow up here? Where did you grow up?
Nope, I'm from Michigan.
Michigan?
Yes.
Well, have you seen the
City.
snow there this week? I mean, there's a lot of snow there this
I
week.
don't pay attention. I
Oh, you
live
don't?
in Florida now that I lived here. Lived here long.
How did you end up in Florida? How did you move?
Well, my parents came to visit. We went to Walt Disney World when I was 11 years old. And I told my parents, when I grow up, I'm moving here. And at 21, I did it. I moved to Florida.
Well, good for you.
Lived here ever since.
Good for you. And you were introducing us to Beverly. Beverly, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And you are an author. That's all I know about you so far is that you're an author.
Right. Yeah. I also have 2 stories.
Okay.
In that book, part of the group.
And and the group meets at the library, the Freedom Library?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
Yeah. Once a month, 3rd Saturday from 10 until 1:30.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Florida?
No, I'm. One of my stories in there is about being a snowbird.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm a snowbird.
I always wanted to be a snowbird. So do you wait? So this is not your full-time home?
No.
Where's home?
Half of the year? Valparaiso, Indiana, which is northwest of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
I mean, no, northwest Indiana, which is close to Chicago.
Okay, northwest Indiana. Yeah, I know a guy up in Indiana. Robin is from Wisconsin. So.
Yes. Oh, okay.
So you all 3 of you are like from the same neighborhood, apparently, it seems like, right?
Almost.
Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana. So how did you end up in Ocala as your snow home or your winter home?
Oh, okay. We took a cruise one time, our family, out of Tampa. And then it was just kind of, my husband had been looking at real estate ads and things. And so he said, let's go to Ocala. It's on the way up on 75. And we looked at one home in Cherrywood and liked it. And bought it, you know, because it was retirement time.
Nice, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the book. What's the beginning of the book? Who had the idea to put a book together? Let's give credit to whoever that was.
That was Carol Jones. She's the head of the writers group. And she thought it was going to be an anthology till she found out that has to do with a theme. And as you can see on the front, there's no theme because it's a lot of different story writings.
Okay, okay.
And I got
wonderful.
The one I just went to at random of yours, Diane, was about the animals, and it seems like it's a poem written about one this, two that, right? It's got some rhyming going on.
Yeah,
in there,
you
right?
actually saw the book that I've already got in print.
That's right. That was a children's book.
Yes, that's my first children's book.
Yeah.
And then the other two stories are memoirs. They're actually real life. One's about me becoming a writer, and of course the other one's about America's Got Talent.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be pretty interesting. I can't wait to read that one.
And it's kind of a sum up because they said they wanted only a certain kind of words.
Oh.
And so I decided just to make it short and interesting.
When you say certain kind of words, what do you mean? Oh, there you go. The karaoke corner. Getting a plug in on. Oh, do you know him?
No, I don't know why he came, but that was cute.
That was cute.
But anyway, no. What I mean was certain things that happened there, and I put in the book. But there was a whole lot more, and they says no. I'll just put a certain amount.
When you say they, you mean the library?
The writers group itself.
The Freedom Writers Group.
They helped me edit the story I wrote.
They had a maximum number of words that could be in for each story.
And then they still cut it down, and I said, that's okay, I'll eliminate all this. If I ever write a whole story book myself, of course I would love, I'm kind of asking, to get the recordings, to get the word perfect of exactly what I said on the show. Would be cool
that
to
shouldn't
write
be
a
too hard to
story
do.
of it.
You know, we speak to authors all the time, and so they have a love-hate relationship with their editors.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing for you? I mean, do you feel like that is part of just what a writer has to deal with? Does it make the writing better? What do you think, Beverly?
Well, definitely. Yeah. You probably improve your thoughts about them as life goes on, and you can kind of see the changes. Yeah. In editing for that and this, they ask so many questions that you have to start doing rewrites, and you have to like redo the whole thing, and a lot of people object to that. But once you do, you can start to see the logic of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds to me that when an editor is telling you some things that you need to redo, it's actually a good sign, because it means that they like the basic idea of what you've written. Mm-hmm. And they just want to polish it up in whatever way. You might disagree with how to polish it, right?
But yeah, you can. But usually there's a give and take. There's a communication that you have.
You have another book in front of you. Is that a book you wrote on your own?
Yeah. This is why I joined the Freedom Writers Group.
Casualties
they were really good at helping. Yeah, Casualties of Peacemaking.
Oh, nice. And what is that book about?
It's a memoir. And it's about from 1968 to 1970. I was living in Chicago as a rather new resident, and I started getting involved in like the anti-war activities, getting ready for the Democratic convention, and it kind of turned into a story. I joined a writers group to write a book one time up north, and they had us write down. They had us put an essay on what was the weirdest thing that ever happened to you in your life. And so a lot of us, once you've lived your work life, there's a lot of weird things that have happened. So I picked out one, and I wrote it up. And then in the group that we had, this writers group, they thought, well, there must be a story around this. And so
neat.
That's how it. And then the side story, the what happened before, what happened after. And
so tell us the story. What exactly happened in those 2 years?
Well, to start with, I had been going to school, college, and then I looked for a summer job because you're always out of money. And
so you moved to Chicago from Indiana?
Basically, I'm from Iowa originally.
Okay. Wow. So you went from the corn country to the city.
Right.
Okay. Big shock, big culture shock?
It was definitely, it was definitely
Were
different.
you a hippie?
Maybe how you looked. Yeah, it was. You know, the hippies probably wouldn't have called me one, but from the other side, that I probably was.
That wasn't a slur in any way. I remember going through that too. You know, where I felt like I didn't look like it either, but I just liked some of the music, and I liked some of the lifestyles that was going on at that time. Yeah,
it was a lot of freedom, and basically we had the same thing in common, because so many of our friends were having to go to the war, you know, the Vietnam War, or trying to avoid it, and so that was part of it too. Well, anyway, that's summer. The summer job had ended. And I was picking up my teaching materials. We were in a church basement, and it was a summer program for youth in that neighborhood in Lincoln Park, and to keep them in school, to keep them learning and all that. It was a good summer. So I was picking up my things, and Ohio peace protester group had come in to demonstrate at the Democratic Convention. And so they were all in a tizzy looking for someone with a car, because they needed someone to go out to the airport and pick up the Black Panthers. And so I had just gotten a car, still had an Iowa license plate. I bought it from my brother. And so I volunteered, you know.
I'll go get him.
My friend here.
Well, how big was your car? How big was your...
Well, it was, really. It was a 57 Galaxy 300. Is what it was. So it was 3 people in the back seat.
I was going to say, that's not very big. Okay, so you went and picked up.
They were looking for other people too, but there were only a couple of us that went out. So I drove out to the airport, and who came out to ride in my car was Bobby Seale and probably a couple. A couple bodyguards, and so that started the story. But while I was waiting for them to get in, there was a guy in front that was dressed up in a suit and a hat, and he was writing down my license and all that. And so, but it was an Iowa license. So anyway, then off we went, and I took them to a rally in Lincoln Park, and he spoke, and it was a very good speech about. About peace, and the world is watching, and, you know, it's very important. What we're doing is demonstrating for peace and end to the war and all that. And then I took him where he wanted to go afterwards, to the SDS headquarters, and that was the end of the incident.
Nice.
But
wow, what an unexpected thing for you.
Right.
That's exciting.
But I became. They started with an FBI file on me, I guess, so the story proceeded.
Oh no! So what story did you put into the Hey, You Got a Minute book?
Hey, You Got a Minute.
Hey, You Got a Minute book.
Okay, that one I wrote just a kind of a lighthearted one about being a snowbird. You know, and talking to the robins and the mockingbirds down here and stuff.
Oh, are you a bird watcher?
I kind of.
We got a bird watcher story today, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, there's a bird watching thing that starts
for the Audubon
Friday, I think.
December
really?
14th through the first week of January. Then you count the birds.
Yeah.
They're looking for volunteers in a 15-mile radius of wherever you are. So,
interesting.
I would know. I know a seagull, a sparrow. I know a parrot, I think, Diane.
Well, parrots are the most beautiful, I think.
They are. They're beautiful. Yeah. So, Diane, how did you decide when you were cutting down your story about America's Got Talent, are you going to write a full-length novel with this story on it?
Well, it would be, but like I said, I've got to get the permission from America's Got Talent, because I'd like to get, instead of my ideas of what I remember, I'd like to get exact words from them. And I guess they'd have to show me a video, and then I could write down.
You can look it on YouTube. I found you on YouTube.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can get YouTube videos of everything I did there. There's a lot of behind the scenes, and they're just filming me a lot.
Really?
And if they kept the films, I would like to see them to get exact wording. Otherwise, it's just my memory, which
good luck with that.
Would still be a lot.
Yeah.
I remember.
You should call it Simon.
Perfect.
You should say Simon Says, and I don't care.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
So tell me.
I don't remember Simon's at all either.
All right. So you know what I think is true for both of you, and maybe this is more for the casualties of peacekeeping. Is it peacekeeping?
It's peacemaking.
Peacemaking.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that, at least the little piece that you told us, Beverly, that we as readers, that would never happen to me. I mean, what happened to you was unique. What happened to you, Diane, is unique. I mean, how many of us go on America's Got Talent? That's awesome. You know, so I think that's kind of fun for us as readers to read something that somebody else did, because we sort of can be there doing it with you through your words. I think that's what makes it fun.
Right. And then if you write a memoir, you don't have to use the exact wording. I mean, I have quotes that people are talking to each other.
Thank you.
Obviously,
Yeah.
didn't have a tape recorder.
Absolutely, yeah. That's good advice, Diane. I've heard that definition of a memoir versus an autobiography. A memoir is what you remember. So I could my memoir easy. I know I might remember it wrong, but but then the autobiography, I'm supposed to do research on myself, which is what yours would be if you found those tapes.
Oh, so I wait till an autobiography. I could just write a whole story of what I can remember.
Yeah, but good luck getting that
happened.
stuff from them. They're not going to let that go. That's like the JFK tapes. They don't want to.
Then maybe I'll just write it without doing that, because it is all that I remember, and I've already written down many pages.
You're so delightful, though. I mean, everybody's going to like anything you do.
And Diane, you're such a huge child advocate. I mean, you do the word search, the Bible word search for the children, and you did the counting book for the children with your illustrations and everything. That this is a whole new side of you, to be on something national, international, in fact,
That's
like
true.
America's Got Talent, and now you'll be able to, through your memory, give a behind-the-scenes look of everything you did leading up to you being on the stage and what happened after. That'll be very interesting.
How much they really allow you to reveal.
Well, we had a guy on earlier who wrote a book about Kennedy, and so he's revealing everything.
So when you're doing your book signings on this Saturday at the Freedom Public Library, will you also be giving a narrative of your contribution to the book, Hey, Got a Minute?
Oh, yeah, we'll be talking about that one. That's the big deal of... She's saying we're going to end with a bang for the writers group by doing a book signing for this big book.
And that's this Saturday?
Yep, this Saturday in the morning, 10:30 at the Freedom Public Library.
How many authors will be there?
Oh, I don't know who's all showing up.
Usually, probably most of them that are
Probably most of them in the
still
group.
alive.
Are you both voracious readers, to use a word a lot? Yeah? Who are your favorite authors? Beverly.
Oh, dear. That's a good question. I don't really have a favorite.
Oh, okay.
I like, like in this one here, I'm looking for ideas that are different. And truthfully, I guess I don't have a favorite. Sorry.
Diane, do you have some?
Oh, yeah. It's Joyce Myers and Josh McDowell, and I met them both.
I know
nice.
Joyce Myers. I don't know the second name. Who's the second person?
He's actually evangelist, too.
Okay. He's a pastor or something?
No, I think he's just I don't think he's a pastor, but evangelist. He travels around.
Maybe I don't know the
preaching.
difference.
I met him in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
But of course, Joyce Myers here, I met in Florida.
Will you be reading excerpts from Hey, Got a Minute this Saturday? Will each author that attends be able to read a couple of paragraphs from their contribution to the book?
That's a possibility, but we weren't told we were going to do that.
Okay.
I don't know, but I do know.
So can we buy the book? I mean, is the book for sale?
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is for sale.
And online.
Yeah.
I think it's on Amazon, but it's definitely online.
Look,
Oh,
But
nice.
this one, I think it's for $10, isn't it? The book?
10 or 12 is right. We're not sure about the price.
Yeah, but that really is
I found it right
huge.
here.
That really is a huge endeavor for all of you writers to get together and select stories to go into that book.
Yeah, it was a learning experience for our whole group to see the process, because we get together and share ideas about how to write and develop a story. But this one then takes us through the whole process, the editing, like you've talked about, and then the search for how to publish. Is it going to be self-published, or is it, are we going to hire a publisher? this was self-published, right?
It was independent publishing.
Yeah, independent. Yeah, through Create Space, I believe.
Yeah, Create Space.
And then getting it printed, and also even I remember the meeting when we were looking for a title, since we decided it was not an anthology. But what was it that? Why would people want to read the book? And we decided that people. Well, when you have to go sit and wait in the doctor's office, or at a train station or something like that, sometimes it's fun just to leaf through. And read a short story, that keeps your interest. And so so someone in the group, he was sitting right beside me. I remember he said, "Why don't we just say, 'Hey, got a minute,' and then you can."
Nice. I like the way that evolved, and it's a handsome-looking book too. Whoever did the cover did a good job, and
very classy.
Yeah, very nice. And will your other book, Casualties of Peacemaking, is that also for sale at the book signing?
Yes, it'll be for sale, and it's also on Amazon.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
So. Yeah, this one is 1995.
Doesn't it? I know it's not an anthology. Does a collection like that? Does it sometimes get the attention of a publisher like Simon and Schuster, that kind of thing? Or that kind of publisher, I guess.
We don't. You don't know? It's hard now to get. I was looking for a standard publisher on this book, and I wrote and I contacted as many as I could, and they're not really interested in people that are first-time authors, or like this was a first-time experience too, putting this book together, and I found that it was many times I'd get nice letters, sounds interesting, but not what we're interested in at the time, and so, but I was able to find a Florida publisher. It's called the Pepper Tree Press. They're from Sarasota. And so they did the publishing, but it's more like an independent publisher group too, and they specialize, I believe, in first-time authors because they're giving people a chance to do that. So I went with a standard publisher of that type, but this one is totally self-published. Hey, got a minute.
That's wonderful.
That's what
wonderful.
I want to do.
It's self-published, yeah.
My puzzle books are actually for anybody who can read that likes puzzle games. It's not just for children. Only the children's book for counting is for children. And I'm writing a lot of others.
That's wonderful.
They're getting in print.
Do we went back to your other interviews with us. Do you always show up about this time of year? There's a pendulum with you, yeah.
A lot of Decembers.
It's Diane time.
Thank you.
Diane, thank you so much for coming in here and talking about your work and just having fun with us, and for introducing us to Beverly. Thank you both for coming in here. And everybody else, if you want to meet Diane and Beverly, go to the Freedom Library, the Freedom Public Library, this coming Saturday from 10:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. and you'll meet Diane and Beverly and whatever other authors are there. Right. And maybe find a group for you if you're. Sometimes a writer's group is a good way to improve your writing also, right?
It's a great way.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good to see you both.
Well, thank you.
We will be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News.